When you think of Moses, you probably think of burning bushes, plagues, parted seas, and stone tablets. A towering figure, a national hero, a lawgiver. But what if Moses was never meant to be the destination? What if his entire life was a signpost, pointing forward to someone greater? In Deuteronomy 18, Moses makes a bold claim. He says, God will raise up for you a prophet like me. Listen to him. That's not just a prediction, it's a promise. Centuries later in the New Testament, Peter and Stephen both say the same thing. That prophet is Jesus. Even Jesus himself said, quote, if you believed Moses, you would believe me because he wrote about me, end quote. Moses wasn't the final voice. He was preparing us to hear the ultimate one. Moses led Israel out of slavery in Egypt. Through judgment, through blood, through the Passover lamb, freedom came. But that story wasn't just history. It was prophecy. Because Jesus comes as a greater deliverer, not from Pharaoh, but from sin. Not through the blood of lambs, but through his own. Moses leads people out of physical bondage. Jesus leads us out of spiritual death and into life. Moses gave the law, commands, standards, boundaries, and the law mattered. It revealed God's holiness, but it also revealed something else. We can't keep it. That's why Jesus said, I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. Everything Moses handed down, the sacrifices, the system, the standards, they were never the finish line. They were pointing forward to the one who would accomplish what we never could. Moses stood between God and the people. He went up the mountain. He spoke with God. He carried the words back down, a mediator. But even Moses only saw a part of God's glory. In Jesus, we see the fullness, not a reflection, not a glimpse, but God himself stepping into human history. There's a moment in the Gospels where everything comes together. Jesus stands on a mountain, and Moses appears beside him, the law standing next to its fulfillment. And then a voice from heaven says, this is my son, listen to him. Not Moses, not Elijah, listen to Jesus. Moses was faithful, but he never was the Savior. He was a servant pointing forward to the Son, a shadow pointing to the substance, a voice preparing the way for the Word. And here's the truth. You can study Moses, admire Moses, even follow the law of Moses, and still miss the one he was pointing to. Because the goal was never just knowledge. It was trust. It was faith. It was surrender to the greater deliverer than Moses, Jesus Christ. So the question isn't just, do you understand Moses? The real question is, are you listening to the one he pointed to? For more of the biblical history related to this topic, please visit the article linked in the description. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.